Anyway, my name's Rob Owen, and I'm the host of the show. And I had got diagnosed with brain cancer 14 years ago, and it was a GBM, is what they call it, which is like a four. And through the process, they kind of gave me 6 months to live. That was 14 years ago, so I'm pretty stoked. So I'm sharing some of my just experiences with dealing with that, and I think it relates also to even if you don't have cancer, but if you have someone that can please try and reach out to me. It shouldn't be too hard to contact the station and so forth, and I'll try and do something better with getting lines. 'Cause it's nice to talk to somebody. When I went through the process, I didn't get to meet anybody else that had a GBM and that could like kind of function. And I still haven't really met anybody, but I'm hearing more about them. So that's a good thing. So I need to reach out to my community in that regard a little bit more. And then part of the thing is about what really for me is really trying to notice my moment more in it. And it really kind of cleared up a lot of anxieties and depression that I had. I I really looked at a lot of the negative speak that I had. It was a big part of overcoming that. And I think a part of stress is really the one of the major factors, and building up. I don't think it's called free radicals. What's it called in your body? I'm blanking on it. Anyways, a lot of the negative stuff that's a daily occurrence in your body, either via diet, via exposure to all kind of chemicals, things that just basically just aren't natural. Um, but I mean, that being said, look what they treat you for cancer. They bombard you with radiation, like pump you full of poison, the chemos, and yeah. So I had 14 years, or well, okay, maybe 13 years of just kind of thinking I was all good. They did a few. So I did chemo. I did multiple brain surgeries. Cancer, where they get it like the crab, it has tentacles, so it spreads out. That's why it's so hard to kind of treat and and get rid of it. But yeah, it's definitely a trip. I did not think I had brain cancer way back when, and it's like how I noticed stuff as I was having I guess brain swelling from it, and so I had very bad headaches and so forth, and um, so then I was like, ah, this didn't seem right, and then I started just really feeling like I was just getting dumber and dumber, and I just couldn't think well. I couldn't remember anything, and yeah, so it's been kind of smooth sailing, but then like 2 months ago, I switched insurance policies, so I'm trying to keep up with things. And I was doing kind of an MRI every year. Then it was like kind of getting expensive, and I wanted to slack on it. So I was like, okay, let's do it every 2 years. But then I just got my most recent, and it really depends. You got to really shop around for doctors. I know it's really hard, especially if you're going through this thing. But to try and find an advocate where you can find somebody you're comfortable with. This is in regards to anything medical, or I guess just life in general. Be around people that you like and that you trust and that because when you're going through that stuff, it's like, man, I might die on this. All right. I at least want to be around people that I kind of like. So that was a big issue for me. And I think it helped a lot because it just festers like a little bit more with positivity. And then I was going to share maybe later on, but maybe who knows? I don't really have this very organized. Like right now, I have cognitive issues. I blank out a lot of stuff. I mean, it's kind of normal stuff. I always had this. I was always kind of spacey, but um, it really affected me a lot. I just couldn't remember what the heck I was doing from one moment to the other. And I mean, but we all have that, right? Sort of. Well, it gets worse and worse. And I found it so much as being patient with me, taking patience with myself, and just being kind of just trying to laugh at stuff and not take this thing so seriously. Because most of the stuff that we're doing on a daily basis it's like a game of telephone. It's been handed down to us. It's not natural, you know. It's not like if you look at what animals or primitive people did. I mean, you were focused really on your survival, and that was just what you did. It wasn't really work. It was you. doing the best you can with what you got. And so much of that is I'm trying to hear some background music here. But yeah, I mean, just making peace with yourself, and that's kind of hard. And I was thinking the other thing because I told on the last show, I was like, well, you don't, what is it? You love yourself and you forgive yourself, and that basically means you're just not judging so much, you know? Because I think love, when you really love somebody, you don't really judge them. You're not judging them. You're just kind of accepting them for what they are. So I thought I should maybe define that more because I was thinking about it when I left, and I was like, well, what does that really mean? Because I think so much of society is like we're arguing on not known semantics, like how we're using certain words, or really we're not defining what we mean by things. And I think most of the time people are arguing when they really kind of agree, or they're thinking the other person is thinking something else, or what have you. But I got in a really bad habit, and it's so much about just noticing stuff. Like I got into Eckhart Tolle when I was after a bit, and a lot of his speak is about being in your moment, not judging so much. So it's like ripping off the guy totally, but yeah, I don't know. It's common truth. I mean, you can know stuff when you hear something and it's true to you. It resonates. That being said, on all this stuff, you know, I'm not I'm not a doctor. Did I play one on TV? No, I don't even play one on TV. I just have gone through some of the experience, and I'm just starting to go again because I guess I dropped out of the last part of that story. Is that I just did a new MRI, and they found, well, it's like a month ago, and they found a suspect area. See, I don't even like to say that I like have cancer or that I have brain cancer or something, because I just think you don't want to like empower it, I guess is how it works. Like give it energy. But yeah, it's been a real trip, and had so many people you know, approach me in different ways, and it's been really sweet. And I think a part of I remember when I get diagnosed. So anyway, so this thing is over my brain stem, which is a really not good spot to have any kind of tumor, because they can't go in and biopsy, or they can, but it's really, really a high risk area for causing major damage. My previous GBM was in my right frontal lobe, so that's a really good area for them to go in and scoop stuff out, which is what they did. And in my recent thing, I normally don't look at my MRIs because I just think it's kind of, I don't know, it seems kind of like a negative, sort of like seeing like you're like a black hole in your brain. I just don't like really looking. But this time I was kind of cool with it. I didn't really mind because my dad typically goes to me these meetings because he's pretty knowledgeable on all the on all that. And but yeah, so he didn't come, so I was like, all right, I'll look at it. So I was like, all right. That's kind of spooky. And I didn't have the shape of it right. I was always thinking it was like a kiwi, but it actually kind of looks like a weird S. So it was a really strange looking little squiggly kind of thing. But it's pretty big. But I don't know. I think I've always heard those. I don't know if it's true, but like that. What so much of your brain is. I don't know. You don't use much of it. I asked the doctor some questions, but I couldn't find my notes. I'll try and remember some of it. But anyway, he said that because we've been doing MRIs, because what they want to do is they can't biopsy, they don't really know exactly what it is. So then they're looking for changes. So I guess like a month ago or 2 months ago, he opted to put me on an oral chemotherapy. And not too bad of stuff. I mean, it's not like the stuff where you inject yourself with this poison and they just pump you for hours. I did that with that first bout of brain cancer that I had, that GBM. And that was pretty brutal. And I had to cheat to get through it because they don't let you get sick all the time on it. So I hit I always love telling this story because I was like really just trying to survive, just fighting for my life. And I was like, thought if he took me off that chemo, which I did not like taking, it was just absolutely gross. And I would hide a waste paper basket under my chair. And you're in this like room, it's pretty gnarly. And watching daytime with these game shows and stuff, and everybody's looking. I mean, I was pretty young in there. I don't think there was anybody my age, though. I'm no baby, but a lot of older folks that you just don't have as much. You can't get kicked around as much sometimes when you get older, unless you really, I guess, maintain. But yeah, and that was a trip, but it was a really going for survival, and I just wanted everything they could throw at me. I wanted to go from one to the other to the other. And a major part of my motivator was really my kids, I guess, because I don't know, I just had this. I just did not want to leave them, knowing that their dad died and they would have to. It just seemed like such a downer. So that was a big motivator for me to just keep going. I mean, not that I didn't want to live. I mean, I was pretty spooked, but I don't know. I think a part of maybe life is like kind of making, because death is part of life, really. I mean, it's like kind of one of the things is making peace with, I think, your moment. And your moment, one of your moments is going to basically be death. And kind of like thinking where you go with that. Like, I'm not religious, but I do kind of believe, kind of with the whole psyche, I think a lot of us were all like identified with our ego, which may not be the Freudian thing. I don't know. I don't really look into it, but I call it the ego, or like your thinker, basically. And that's what the show's about. It's called Monkey Mind. So the Buddhists have a thing where, about this Buddhist monk, and he was saying, man, I had the hardest time. He was a cute guy, in the classic robe. And he's like, I have the hardest time meditating. And he's like, because my monkey, it just keeps going and keeps going. It always wants something to do. And then so this Buddhist monk had this little practice that he would do, is that he would just say, am I breathing? And he would ask that kind of to himself. And then your thinker kind of jumps on that and says, am I breathing? And then so it gives you like a 1 or 2 second kind of piece where the monkey gets quiet and starts then saying, ooh, listening to the breath. Because your monkey mind doesn't really care what it's doing as long as it's doing something. And that's just par for the course. And probably why we survive. It keeps it going. It keeps us engaged. But it's also, I think, a biggest part of something to almost not identify with so much. And that's the other thing. It's like that you can hear your thoughts and sit back and just listen to what you're thinking about means basically that you have something else in that consciousness, or in that kind of your being, that's like what you could call like awareness, or your it's something that's not so related to ego, and it doesn't have all these hobbies or get mad at stuff, or it's more of a peaceful thing. And I think that the trick is getting to the point, because it's so hard, because the monkey mind, I mean, it's just going to be there regardless, I think. I don't know, but maybe enlightenment changes that. And I also don't think you have to think of enlightenment as being so out there and difficult. It's just really making peace with yourself and with the moment. And I think that's something to really practice. And you can't mess it up. You can't, because if you mess it up, then you're in your new moment. You can keep trying. And if you're in a situation that you don't like, you are supposed, it's like 3 things. It's like you're supposed to change it. And if you can't change it, then you need to get away from it. If you can't get away from it, then you need to kind of make peace with it and surrender to it. And then you can kind of repeat that. You don't have to just say, okay, I'm stuck in the mud forever, or with whatever. No, you just keep kind of looping it. But it's kind of like a peaceful thing. It's not frantic. You can try really hard at stuff and still be very kind of at peace with your moment and with what is. And it's, and I think taking it back to one thing is knowing it's like you're really your story. And so you can't mess this up. At least that's my theory, because this is all about you. And and that's kind of like the beautiful thing to it, I think. And I'm trying to do two things at once. I'm not too good at. Yeah, I mean, it was kind of berserker because everything. I think when you have brain cancer and stuff, it's really how to handle it because most brain cancers go to a GBM, which is a 4, which I think you know about, like cancer and stuff. It gets well, and mine was also brain origin. Some people, when you have cancer outside your body, it can metastasize into your brain, but it almost never metastasizes when it's brain origin outside of and goes back into your body. So that's a good and a bad. I think the bad side is what I'm gathering is there seems to be a tendency for these cancers in your brain to go to the most extreme case because they're in a confined area. I'm not sure, and maybe it's very conducive to. That's the other thing I was really focusing on recent with this newest episode because I kind of just slacked off. I mean, I was always into the dietary stuff because I think what we put in our bodies is so crucial to our general health. And I love you too. Uh, and so it's been kind of fun. Like I tried. What did I do? Oh, and then I noticed. Sorry, I'm laughing at myself. And then I started noticing that so much. I got really like driven on like little things, like because I think because they removed part of my right frontal lobe, so I get more inspired. That's not the right word, but inspired to do stuff kind of on a whim. Uh, because it makes sense because it's logical to me. Like for instance, the paleo eating. I really got into that for a while, and because I watched a documentary on it. Basically, it was like saying that you had millions of years of evolution of eating a certain way. We were migratory people, all of us, and we basically walked and traveled with game where we could, and that's basically all we ate. And any fruits and vegetables were all above ground. I mean, we weren't digging around, and you were trying to get the max caloric protein, the best food source bang for your buck because you were out in the woods. And I've had a few times out in the woods over the years where I really had that sink in over this 14-year period where I'm out there by myself and I'm like going, wow, can you imagine, hacking it out here, like making a meal and it'd be something. But I mean, those people, like our ancestors, they didn't have that. They weren't city slickers like us, just had no skills thrown out there. I mean, they were like animals were. Like I just kind of rescued for my daughter this feral kitten, a tiny little thing. And but boy, when I first saw that thing, it just had that inbred in it. It was like hissing at me, showing all its teeth and stuff, and the cutest little thing. But boy, once I got too close to it, it was showing its stuff. And I mean, I think we were like that. And so it was a lot of meat and, like I said, above ground things that were worth it. And the number one thing I think was meat. And then so I got on that for a while, and I kicked off all that other stuff. And just this recent thing, and so what did I do? I did paleo at first, and that was pretty much right after cancer. And I can't say I was all that great at it, but I was really trying because I get kind of motivated when I have a tumor or something like that. So that's kind of a good motivator. Like just recently, I quit drinking alcohol, which is for me is pretty something. I've been a drinker since high school, and I just really enjoy getting a buzz on. And my doctor even said, I was like, should I quit drinking? This is back with that first brain cancer, and he was like, He was like, nah, man, if you like it, go for it. And I think maybe he was thinking I was gonna die. So he's like, have fun, dude. So I was trying that. And yeah. So then with this recent thing, yeah, I just quit drinking. Because like I said, on the other thing, they said that it may be reoccurring, but they're so far apart from each other, these cancers. So at first they were kind of thinking it's not related, but I don't even really know. A lot of speculation. Like I just had my review of my MRI last. I really kind of in a way don't care. I'm not into. I take the kind of now moment. I mean, I don't do it all the time. I'm really not acting like I've got my stuff together, but I do try and practice it. Like I said, you mess up, you got your moment now. You can kind of not judge yourself and forgive yourself, love yourself, which I think it boils down to not judging and accepting kind of what is. And I think that's the great practice for kind of our consciousness, is that making peace with what you, and if you're really making peace with what you have, you're not really thinking about death or you know what's coming up or in the past. You're not dwelling on it. You're on the thing. That stuff is gone. I mean, the past is not here anymore. I mean, all that stuff that you did, all the mistakes, whatever, it's gone. But that being said, it is nice to, if you did make, recently got a chance to ask somebody to tell them I was sorry, and that really felt really good to me, which is probably my ego, probably there. But anyway, I also wanted them to, you want people to feel good in your life, and I thought maybe if I was like apologizing, that she would feel good about that thing and so forth. So hopefully. And it's always hard to say. I've always been told by people that I'm too sensitive, but whatever. But maybe, and then some people, like I was married, and then it was kind of the things that I was being told a lot, that I had lost my empathy, maybe. I don't know, but I think it boils down to, I don't know, you don't want to tolerate. And I mean, I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean, like, you don't want to, like that thing. If you don't like something, you either want to change it or get away from it. So if I'm around something that is not, I don't find pleasing or positive, I want to get away from. I want to change it, or I want to get away from it. Or if I can't get away, then I just got to deal with it. But most of the time with people, you just kind of say no. I don't want to play. And a lot of it just seems like this weird game, like this emotional ego feeding. Like it's all about empowering our ego and so forth. And I really thought that going back to my original brain cancer, I was under the impression, and I don't know how true this is, that I gave myself brain cancer, that my negative speak got so bad, I was feeling just so judgmental on myself in a negative way. I mean, I was not pumping myself up. And it was just 24/7. It was like that thinker, that monkey, just wanted attention, and the monkey doesn't care if it takes out the host. It's basically a parasite, so it doesn't care if it takes out the host. It just wants attention, and it wants to be a victim. And I mean, that's something to watch too, even with having cancers, that you can make this your own ego. Like, oh, look at me, I had cancer, and I do that totally. But I mean, everybody likes getting attention and feeling good, especially our monkeys. But yeah, it's a strange balance of figuring things out. And it's just so much, I mean, about really being patient with yourself. And I see so many people just not doing that. And that's where so much hostility and anger, I mean, not that there isn't and then the other thing was stress. I had somebody say, well, I don't get stressed. I don't have stress. And I'm like, well, that goes back to semantics. What you're calling stress what you're really probably saying is that that's that kind of fight or flight where you're getting energy out of it. You're almost kind of enjoying it. It's like exciting. That's not really, when I say stress, I'm talking about the one that makes you feel like junk. And but yeah, it's I think semantics is a big thing, but really saying, well, what do you mean by when you say blank or whatever the word is, and really talking about that. And I think it just gets so much, and especially too, it just gets spread around with so much kind of dislike, and it really almost always goes back to that mirror thing. It's like we're seeing things in ourselves and we pretty much project them onto other people, and it's hard to catch it. And that's like the thing I was mentioning that really helped out with me is it's almost like you also don't want to judge your ego, like that crazy selfish little thing. You want to kind of more or less just kind of listen to it and go, okay, because then you're just going to kind of pop up another ego. Like maybe you started your awareness was listening to it, but then you can just kick up another ego and another. You're like, oh, well, that's ridiculous that you're so stupid. You know what I'm saying? So then you're just making like another thinker, another monkey. And then you get all these monkeys chattering about who's better than the other one. And yeah, that's kind of a big trip. But yeah, so right now I'm taking oral chemo, which is a drag. I just do not like taking this stuff. But I don't take it all the time. But right now they're waiting on my blood work to come back. And I'm really jumping all over the place, huh? But yeah, another thing I was noticing too. I have all these maybe they're even like superstitions, maybe I don't know. But I used to have one, but my Reiki she talked me out of it. I used to have one where I would try and think of the worst thing, to happen. Like I would pump myself, like this isn't gonna work, and it would work out. Now that was probably all in my head, but my Reiki was like, no, you gotta stay more positive. But I had like maybe an abridged version of it. I think celebration is beautiful in your moment, and always celebrate your moment. But kind of get to the point where you want to celebrate your moment regardless, because it is your moment, whether it seems like it's kind of painful. And a lot of times we focus on the pain when really you can almost kind of practice fluffing it off. And I kind of forgot what I was talking about there, but getting overconfident. Yeah. I noticed that it kind of spooks me. I had a good friend of mine that had cancer. It wasn't brain cancer, but I just remember, because what you do when you go through, I guess, the radiation process. I don't know if you do it with chemo. Maybe you do. But there's a thing you do where you ring a bell. And my friend was telling me he was going through it. He started to really kind of shed the weight and stuff like that. And I pretty much was in that kind of, this is before this latest round of tumor stuff or whatever it is. Notice I won't say the C word. But I noticed him one day. He said to me, he was like, yeah, I'm going to ring that bell. And so it was like he was about to do it, and he was about he was about to take on that process. And he died. And I was like, man. But it's so fun how you can kind of, when people die in your life, you can kind of just, I don't know, kind of take that spirit thing with you, where you can kind of just kind of latch on to them and just kind of hold on to like their memory and pull it up when you need it or when you're lonely or something like that. And but yeah, it's like a confidence thing. Like I noticed I don't ever do, like I kind of had done that, was starting to do that. But anyway, with that first brain cancer thing, I'd relocated to MD Anderson to get treatment because I just thought they were the oncologist or whomever I was seeing it in New Orleans, I thought they were going to kill me. And so when I was over there, I was doing like radiation, chemo, and they did another brain surgery on me. And yeah, and I started getting really kind of, all right, I'm making this work. I mean, I was feeling okay. My hair had kind of fallen out from the radiation. And I guess I'd started shaving it. So I was really making some dramatic changes because I'd always had really long hair. I don't know, it didn't really matter. But yeah, and then I did the MRI. I guess we had finished, I always blank on this part. I finished the radiation treatment. And the radiation was a trip because they mold this black, I mean, it's not black, it's a white down. They blast you with all this radiation, which sounds like, duh, radiation causes cancer, but that's the treatment. So it's kind of insane there. But yeah, so I may have gotten a little confident at that point, like things were working well, I was handling the treatment well. But then when I went to see the doctor after my MRI, it was pretty spooky because he got me in the room and he was like, okay, it's all worse. It's gotten bigger. It's more of a 4. He's like, I'm about to do this new protocol. This was like a big boy chemo. I'd just been doing a week Timidar at that point, which is an oral chemo. And and he told me that he's like, I just don't think you have the time. I'm going to do it, but I'm not going to do it for like what do you say, like maybe a month or 3 weeks. He's like, I just don't think you have the time. This is getting too aggressive from this MRI. I mean, this is, and then ironically, it turned out that back in Louisiana, back over in the West Bank at West Jeff, they were doing this protocol, and it was a former colleague of his or someone he trained. So this doctor was doing this treatment back where I lived, previously where I relocated from Houston. So then we all went back to Houston, and then I started doing that chemo there. And that's the one where I was hiding the waste paper bags because it was so nasty. But I was meaning, like, I never, after that, I always wanted just to stay really mellow with getting my hopes up that I'm cured. It's like you are what you are. And that's kind of being in the moment and not getting like, oh yeah, I did it. They had some old movie where these kids, I think it was like a Roger Corman film, they're bank robbers, and and maybe that really stuck with me in a way. Anyway, these kids are driving around as a girl and 2 guys, I think. They're robbing banks, and it's been like this blistering car chase, shootouts, all kind of stuff, and they're about to cross the Mexican border. And one of the kids in the car says, "Nothing can stop us now." And then they cross the train track, and I guess the sign says like Mexico or something. And then a train just annihilates them and kills them all. So I don't know. I guess maybe that resonated with me about really staying focused. And it's also like getting treated with cancer, especially with what I have. I just found this out with this news thing. It's not really like a sprint. I mean, this thing is a real marathon. And it's a part of just life, It's like going back to the death thing. It's like cancer is a natural occurrence in our bodies. And I think it's kind of, but the other natural occurrence is fluffing it off and having a healthy immune system that deals with it. And it just keeps you, it's just one of these things like working out. Like working out makes you tired, makes you sore, but then it builds muscle. It keeps you strong. Like we are meant to be in, quote, stressful, some kind of stress. It makes us stronger. And how we judge that, stress can be really healthy, or really detrimental. So yeah, so that was a trip though too, man. Just seeing my tumor, because it was like, all right, I didn't see that. It was like this funny, but yeah. Well, next time I'm gonna probably interview somebody too, because but it's funny, like those superstitions that you can start. Um, I was noticing it's like camping sometimes too. I would notice like certain areas that were kind of mysterious around me. I'd be like, "Ooh, that's like the spooky place." And you could see like being a primitive person, you'd really trip out on things you don't know about. I mean, not that we aren't primitive people, but I think that's kind of part of the trying to mess around with my iPhone right now. I wanted to play some music this thing. But like I said, yeah, it's a real trip because like some of the people I hang out with too are traumatic brain injury people. Like mine's called acquired, which basically means it's sourced to you. It wasn't like a blunt uh, injury, and it's a strange balance is to forget so much stuff, but yeah, I mean it's cool. I mean a lot of stuff comes back. It's like isn't it weird like your memories like something to smell or something can cue you into something you hadn't thought about in years. And I remember a lot of people, it's like a few people, because I was real nervous about asking or telling that person that I was sorry that I mentioned earlier, because I hadn't seen the person in like 30 some years. And people were like, man, nobody's going to care. Like, that's so long ago. I was like, yeah, well, I kind of care. so, so why wouldn't somebody else? And it's just kind of, I don't know, kind of nice to tell somebody that, you know, you're sorry, right? If you are. But yeah, the other night too, I mean, like I said, I don't really like believe in God per se. I was kind of going with, I don't know, I've been listening to a lot of this YouTube videos. I got some pretty interesting guys that are on there talking about like science and stuff, like the ether. This one guy is really pushing the ether, and and I just think the guy's like brilliant. And he was talking about the electrical guy way back when. I'm blanking on his name. Oh, the Tesla. So Tesla, I didn't know that Tesla and Einstein were I'm big into like conspiracy stuff because I guess kind of it goes back to the ego thing because I think egos that whole ego identification is kind of like a invasion of the body snatchers where it's taken over humankind. Like our consciousness, our conscious is all this ego stuff, like politics. I mean, all that is just, and I think like football. It's like some of it seems like it's geared to just. It's like Roman, where the it's geared to distract the masses, and yeah, it's kind of wild, like the whole conspiracy stuff, and some of the stuff too that we just take for granted, like it's like the game of telephone where it's passed down from one generation to the other, and it's like hey, wait, that was kind of messed up, but somebody profited off of it. I mean, clearly everything in the thing is efficient for doing something, and typically it's gaining and maintaining power and control, and so that gets kind of handed down. And then those parties that have that, of course, are fearful of losing. So yeah, that's that's a key thing. What was I talking about on that? Just kind of blanked out. Oh, one of the ones I really like on a not really a conspiracy, I guess maybe it is kind of a conspiracy, is that Shakespeare was the pen name for the Earl of Oxford. I really like this one because, and I've seen some documentaries, and I keep trying to like turn other people onto it because it's really, I think, pretty interesting. They've got like two pretty good documentaries on like Netflix or something like that on the subject matter. And they made a movie on it, but the movie seems like it's a little bit Hollywood, but by a really good Shakespearean English actor. But yeah, but really interesting story. Like when you look at the lot, like goes back to the dietary. Oh yeah, I saw this documentary. So I'm very into movies and films like that. That's kind of one of my interests. But one of my things I did after, which I think is really good for all of us, is focusing on our oh, maybe that's it. No. Sorry guys. I hear there. Yeah, I had my, sorry, I'm kind of spacey. I had my headphones down too low. Okay. Oops. So this is in the background. That's like My Monkey Mind. It's a song. So yeah, so I've always been into the arts and kind of creative stuff. Um, so during my cancer thing, I had a retail shop in. I just trying to invest it. I wanted some. I actually one of my main motivators was wearing board shorts. I guess the job that I had previous when I got diagnosed, some of the time I was wearing suits and I was doing conventions and stuff like that. And I don't know, I got kind of disconnected with it. And it's like, yeah, man, I sit around and boy. And as a kid, I grew up in South Carolina, and I always loved the idea of a surf shop. It just seemed like a fun. And if you had one that was kind of inviting, and not all of them were like that. Some of them were kind of snobby, but when you got a good one, it was kind of fun. We could just chill out and talk, and like a social club. And so I kind of created that. Why did I bring that up? That was another story. When they first put me down to have my first brain surgery, I had this shop, and I was starting to get drunk basically on the medication to get me ready for the brain surgery to knock me out. It wasn't one of those ones where they keep you conscious and they open up your brain. That looks kind of not do down. Anyway, so I was trying to sell them all apparel from my shop. It was pretty funny. I do remember that part, and then I don't remember anything. And then I remember when I first came to, everybody was around the bed, like my family, the doctors, everybody, and they were they were all like just watching me just to see what I'd do if I had any kind of if I was gonna talk. I don't know what. It was pretty trippy, but yeah. But I'm just watching the lights go on this thing. But yeah, it's a trip. I just think it's so much about being in your moment, like regardless of this brain cancer stuff. But I think they are making a lot more insights into it. And I asked my doctor, I made like a list I told you about, but I couldn't find it. That's one of the things that really keeps me going is I keep a lot of notes, like lists. She says, "Are you kidding?" I don't know what that means. I'm on the Facebook too, but people are trying to text me stuff. I can't really read it. I can't do things at once. Yeah, more act. What is that? I don't know. I don't know what any of that means. Anyway, I won't focus on that anymore. Yeah. So I'm on. Was I talking about Timon? I don't remember. But yeah. I mean, I would say really watching the dietary. Oh, the new thing I'm on now. It almost sounds kind of mean. I'm on a I'm doing the carnivore diet or eating style, which is like I just eat meat all day. I mean, I think I can eat a little bit of cheese. I'm really new to it, and but I do think it's giving me I do think it's giving me better. What it's referred to it almost as an elimination diet, where you can find out which. But I'm still drinking coffee. I don't really think that's part of it. Um, you're supposed to really just drink water and eat meat. I think you can have cheese. I think it's like anything you get from an animal, you're allowed to do. But I like hunting and stuff like that. I don't really like killing stuff, but I like eating meat. So I'm not hypocritical why I'm not going to shoot it. But I was thinking the other day because I'm scoring all this meat and or fish or what have you. I was like, man, I'm like more like a thing that comes once the hunter's made the kill. I just come in and eat it. But I'm very grateful. Um, yeah, I was noticing that too. I got this beautiful animal. It's like I don't know what you call it, taxidermy, like a head of it. It's this incredible looking deer, and it's actually a whitetail, but it's got this massive neck on it. I was thinking that I don't know if I would shoot that, but then I was thinking that that's kind of stupid. Like why would I be okay shooting a scrawny deer and then not be shooting this beautiful, incredible looking I'm gonna say damn right handsome deer. I don't know. That seems a little hypocritical, but that's kind of been my modus operandi. I'm just kind of more in it for the meat. Um, and But yeah, definitely not for everybody. And I was like, one of the things that was interesting. They were talking about vegetables, how everything has its own defense system, like either running like from prey, and that vegetables kick off a some kind of carcinogen or something like that. That's like their defense, like, and it affects smaller animals. With us, not so much, but we have potential to have allergic reactions to stuff. And a lot of us with our eating styles here have been kind of poisoning ourselves for slowly. I mean, subtle. Like you don't really know. It's like it could be like a skin allergy, like you get a rash or allergies, you sniff a little nose, or just something where it's subtle, but it's like you're saying, okay, that doesn't seem. I should not have this. Why do I have that? Because you know you're meant to be healthy and efficient, you know, healthy machine. And I'm just sitting down. I'm sitting down right now. And normally I really try and avoid it. And I remember when I first got my new place, I wanted to have like all like pillows on the floor. Like I wanted to look like I don't know, like a Japanese restaurant or something, like the steakhouse kind of things. But yeah, but yeah, sitting down is like pretty bad for you. Like you're kind of meant to be walking around, squatting, or I guess laying down and sleep. Um, but these chairs, I mean, they kind of work, but they're not good for you. It's like so much of stuff. It's like I just question everything. Um, and yeah, so I had that was a good one for me. That Shakespeare thing, I really like that one. I mean, it doesn't affect anything of the work. I mean, it's still brilliant work. But the Earl of Oxford, he was just so well educated, and they were saying whoever Shakespeare, like all the historians would say that whoever Shakespeare was, he was just like this brilliant freaking guy. I mean, he had so many, and he was so knowledgeable of uh, royalty and the back thing because the Duke of Oxford was royalty. And one of the things with it was that it was considered gauche for royalty to write plays and do that kind of stuff. It just was not in that culture. And it's, it's like what Samuel Clemens and Mark Twain, you know, but that not because of royalty, of course, but that's a whole different reason. And I was like an idea too of that we have like this is one of the reasons I never cued in on one of the reasons I never cued in on like a God religion kind of thing. But I do kind of think that I just don't believe in personification of that. I think in a way. Well, I have no problem with God, but God's not like some guy or uh, that gets ego-y or angry with you because you're not gonna worship him. It's maybe you're not. It's like semantics again. So you're not maybe noticing your moment is really what they're trying to infer with that. Um, and I was looking at the little note I had. It's like you have everything you need. You are like you have everything you need for your peace and for your moment and staying on that with the health thing too. Um, like there's so much that what do they call it? Like placebo, where it's like I think you really so much really can heal yourself, but are you going to? That's of course another story. Like I'm not, I believe in it, but look at me, I'm doing all the nasty drugs that they're going to tell me to do. Now, I'm not going to do everything. I'm going to try and educate myself as well I can, but past a certain point, uh, yeah, that's a huge leap of faith with. Yeah, like when I first got diagnosed, I remember it was like, um, yeah, I'm blanking again. Yeah, it was like when I first got diagnosed. Okay, whatever. I just lose that story. See, I dropped out. I swear, gotten so much better than I used to be. I couldn't even really carry a conversation. I had like a catchphrases, like, "Oop, lost that one," and then I just have to laugh. But I was really practicing like the because for a while you get kind of, it's can be scary, and then if your ego gets involved into it, you can be like, get kind of machismo about it. Why aren't I thinking? I should be able to think better. This is bull, or you're acting so stupid. Yeah, you just get away from that and you can kind of just laugh at yourself. I mean, so much of stuff is kind of silly, right? It is. Like it depends on you create your reality, and that's a real key thing. You're really, really doing that. You can go through almost any situation, and somebody can be laughing, and the other person can just be bawling, crying. I'm going to do an announcement here. This is, and I hope, Gray, if you're listening, I hope you're coming. But he still has time. I don't know, we're going to do 2 hours of just me talking to myself. Okay, so this is, do you know that WHIV is a volunteer-driven community radio station? We are able to honor independent voices with your support. It's really key to give. I did. It's really easy if you go to their website, and it's like a monthly little thing, and they've got all kind of little tiers on it. Social justice by becoming a member of WHIV today. That really, we may have a slight slant here at the station, but I'm going to say you just stand up for your own. Human rights should be in its semantics. Like, define it out. You can make it what you are. But in justice, fairness, monthly memberships are flexible. So that could be like $1, $5, $10, $20 per month. It's just like whatever works. So that's pretty easy. And they got some really cool, I would say, swag. They got like it's all like tends to be black stuff, except for the fanny pack. I was on it last. We got a friend of ours that traumatic brain injury guy that loves fanny packs. Fanny packs always got a bad rap, but represent WHIV with a T-shirt, tank top, fanny pack, and more found at our online store. So that's just you go on to WHIV.org and you click support or store. And again, that's WHIV.org. Thanks for helping us honor independent voices. And then it says end all awards. And we all did a show on Listen to Us. That's the show that comes right after this one. We did a show where we were trying to come away with to how we would end all awards. Like, okay, that's a pretty lofty little statement there. I mean, haven't we always had kind of wars? We had groups. And I think it's this ego. Egos like getting together because they like empowering their ego. If they can join a group, and then you kind of pitch yourself off with the other group. And it's like politics. It's like so much if you really, break down things, it's like loving and, you want to take care of yourself. And I think you can be kind of peaceful and smack somebody, but it's really in a state of defense or you're trying to help somebody. I mean, that violence is clearly doing something beneficiary. And a lot of times it's really not. It's just egos being scared and lashing out. And yeah, Gray just came in. Awesome, man.
Good morning.
Morning, dude.
So I'm
going to put on my monkey. You've been listening to the background music to, so I'm going to put this on, and we're going to jam to, I was talking about art therapy. A lot of what I did with my, basically my cancer caused brain injury. So one of the big things that I really got into was going back to my art. And I wrote a kid's book, and and I did like a kind of, I guess, narrative paintings where it's basically a character study, and it has like more of a story to it. But a lot of it's, I think, really beneficial, and it's like that play. It's like, it's going back to not taking things so seriously, and like this iPhone that I'm trying to bang here. Where is this? How is this one? My monkey mind. Now, why isn't that playing? Oh. Hey, amigo. So let's start doing some prep here.
Yeah. Where's the
Where's the what? Well, I got this. He told me this thing, but I don't know where. You know what it's on? Maybe the first song? I don't know.
Oh, so if there's another one in here, that's sneaking up.
Yeah, like, oh, I thought you had one.
I did. I left it on.
Oh, you did?
Of course I did.
I had to go get my coffee too. I squeeze it, made a cute sound. Hey, monkey. Oh, you found it?
Might be,
Well, this one definitely is it. That might be. I don't know.
that's a Santana we'll play later. Well,
How do you eject this thing? Is that it?
Yeah. The door, sitting in the bar. He tells a joke with the bartender.
think like that.
So yeah, man, you pick your mic. Like I said, all these. This ain't dominant at all. So.
I heard you talk about chairs.
Oh yeah, whatever.
They say, yeah, chairs ain't no good for you.
Yeah.
Want to stand up. I love it.
There's a Santana. That seems like that's red right there. Alright. I don't really care. You're not mine, all mine.
I didn't get a chance to look up steps, so we'll get you.
Oh, no worries, dude. We can tell. You can tell some stories, some biker stories, maybe. I don't know. The Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Repair.
Yeah.
And dude, if you think you just raise your hand, I'll shut up, okay?
That would go.
No, just if you just comes up. Or you can just say it online, Rob. You're talking too much.
Cut it off.
Yeah, or say you're talking too much. I'm cool with that too. I like it being kind of real. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So whatever.
Just talk. We talk.
Yeah.
Ricky.
Alright, so. See you about 7, babe? Put your mind, all mine, little monkey.
I had to drive to do something.
Bite me. Man, I went swimming the other day. It was pretty cool.
Swimming?
Yeah. I got with my health insurance, I can go to 2-lane.
Really?
Yeah. Pretty fun.
Oh, that's fun. What's the insurance again?
Humana. It's called Silver Sneakers.
Yeah, because I'm fixing to change mine, so.
Okay, I could
To the state.
Oh yeah.
Oh. That's cool.
Yeah.
You get a gym, like a gym membership?
Yeah. But I don't really do that stuff. All right, so.
Isn't there a party today here or something?
Yeah, it's 6 o'clock.
Mention that.
I didn't mention that, but I don't know if that's for everybody. Maybe it is. I don't know.
This time I'll be all
Monkey Mind.
All right, that was some Monkey Mind action there. And we are about to say au revoir to Monkey Mind and go into Listen to Us on the top of the hour. And we are getting there. I guess we could say we're close enough for government work.
close enough. Uncle Red's not here though.
And Uncle Red is not here. And he had some notes he was supposed to. Other things we're supposed to talk. Okay, this is welcome to Listen to Us Live. We are a radio station dedicated our radio station is dedicated. This show is okay. I'm trying to figure out how to say it. This show, and feel free to chime in too, Greg.
Yeah, I will.
So yeah, so this. Oh, we gotta play our song. Okay.
Play Listen to Us Live.
Okay, I'm gonna try. I think this is what. So we have a theme song written by Red Priest. Our
Listen to Us Live. Listen to us.
no CD one.
Listen to us. All we ask you. I should put a headphone on.
I don't know, man. Not hearing the tunes. Oops, is that it? I don't know. Okay, we may need to be talking, man. I don't know that it worked.
Oh.
Radio.
Listen to us.
This is a. Hey, this is a. What are we again? We're a brain injury show, right? Okay, yeah. Okay.
Brain injury.
So that does kind of sync up with the brain injury. Okay, so I have. Oh.
There you go.
Wait, it was. All right.
Ha.
Okay. You hear it.
There he is.